I just can't believe he's dead. It's terrible. But I just thank God that Elvis died here at Graceland instead of on the road just like any other rock and roll singer.
Pandemonium has broken out here on Elvis Presley Boulevard in Memphis. Thousands of fans from all over the country are converging on Graceland, trying to get in to view the body of the 42-year-old king of rock and roll.
When I was 10 years old, my mother and daddy loved him. And I just say I was raised on him. There's nobody else like him. There won't ever be anybody else like him as far as I'm concerned.
The world is shocked by Elvis Presley's sudden death after attempts to save his life failed. The apparent cause, according to his personal physician, Dr. George Nicopolis, is a heart attack.
Elvis Presley's life was filled with spectacle and mystery, but no mystery compares to what was found in the Attic of Graceland. They say every item tells a story. But these stories, childhood toys, fan letters, and hidden recordings, reveal the shocking truths behind the legend of the king. Stay with us as we uncover the attic's secrets and who or what might have been hiding there. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. For nearly half a century, the Attic of Graceland was more than just a storage space. It became a locked vault of mystery. Tourists from all over the world walked through the stately halls of Elvis Presley's Memphis home, marveling at the glittering decor, the jungle room, and the walls filled with gold records. But there was one place no one was allowed to see. The staircase leading upstairs was blocked off, roped with velvet and labeled off limits. Even members of the Presley family were said to avoid the attic, an area rumors described as frozen in time since Elvis himself had walked those halls. It was a deliberate choice, made shortly after his passing, that has kept people guessing for generations. What exactly was hidden above Graceland? This decision traces back to Vernon Presley, Elvis's father, who assumed control of his son's affairs following his death in 1977. Vernon was fiercely protective when it came to preserving the world's image of Elvis. Shortly after the funeral, Vernon made the bold move of sealing off the upstairs of the home entirely. That included the attic, a space that had held some of Elvis's personal belongings and artifacts from his life. Why did he do it? Some say it was respect, a way to keep Elvis's private life hidden from the growing fascination of fans and the media. But whispers surrounding the attic quickly turned to speculation that there might be darker motives at play. Could Vernon have been hiding something? As years turned into decades, fan theories and curiosities grew louder. People speculated about long-lost recordings, objects connected to Memphis Mafia gossip, or even wild stories that perhaps Elvis himself, alive and in hiding, had used the attic as a sanctuary. Of course, many dismissed these ideas as nonsense, but whispers have a way of sticking around when no one offers clear answers. Even as Graceland became a full-blown tourist destination, welcoming millions of fans who wanted a glimpse into the life of the king, the upstairs, and by extension, the attic, stayed firmly off limits. Tour guides politely deflected when asked why visitors couldn't see certain parts of the home, sometimes citing family wishes for privacy or the structural integrity of the home itself. Others simply shrugged off questions altogether, leaving the mystery very much alive. By the time the new year of 2025 rolled around, the mystery of that locked attic felt like a strange relic in itself. The decision to finally open it wasn't sudden, nor was it without controversy. It had been decades since Vernon sealed it off, and Graceland's caretakers were faced with growing pressures to expand on Elvis's story. Fans wanted answers. After a long internal debate, a dramatic choice was made. The attic would be opened, cataloged, and shared with the world. What they had not anticipated, however, was just how much history had been quietly boxed away above the heads of curious visitors for all that time. When the attic door was unlatched, the air inside was said to have smelled faintly of aged paper and cedar. Despite the rumors of disorder or secret chaos, what greeted the team inside was something far more eerie and intimate. The room was remarkably well organized, with carefully labeled sections written in Elvis's own handwriting. Cardboard boxes and trunks lined the walls, sorted into cryptic categories: Tupelo, 1945, Vegas, Mom's Things. These labels seemed small, ordinary even, but given their author, they carried weight. It was a place Elvis himself had clearly touched, handled, and preserved, intentionally or otherwise. The scene was startlingly personal, a curated time capsule untouched by the frenzy that followed his death. To see something Elvis might have assembled was to be reminded of the man behind the music, a human being who had his own private spaces and secrets. No one had expected the attic to be in such pristine shape. It was as if it had been waiting patiently for nearly 50 years to finally be seen again. There was a sense of reverence among those present during the opening, a quiet understanding that what lay ahead wouldn't just provide insights into Elvis's life, but could redefine how the world understood him. But what exactly did these boxes hold? The labels hinted at periods of his life everyone knew about, his humble beginnings in Tupelo, his reign in Las Vegas. But why had they been gathered here, and why had they remained untouched for so long? The first impression of the attic left more questions than answers, but it also sparked a sense of awe. For fans and historians alike, walking into that room was like stepping into a forgotten chapter of cultural history. Whatever had been preserved here, it wasn't mundane. It was deliberate, cryptic, and, more importantly, deeply personal. Even with the first peek into the room, the weight of what they found was clear. Boxes and trunks packed with items from every corner of Elvis's life meant that unraveling these items would take time and far more emotional investment than perhaps anyone involved had expected. Now that the threshold had finally been crossed, one thing was certain. The secrets inside the attic weren't just records of Elvis Presley's legacy. They were clues to who he truly was in ways no one could have imagined. After waiting nearly 50 years, the attic's contents were finally laid bare, and what they revealed was unexpectedly intimate. Beneath the dust and shadows sat an organized collection of objects, each labeled with care in Elvis's own handwriting. Sections like Tupelo 1945, Vegas, and Mom's Things seemed more like chapters of an autobiography than ordinary storage. It wasn't piles of random belongings crammed into a forgotten space. It was a quiet, deliberate archive of his life. The labels themselves felt significant, holding a story in every scrawl. The discoveries became heavier as the boxes marked Vegas were opened. Among the contents were reel-to-reel tapes, simple recordings made during practice sessions. Elvis was known for embracing gospel, blues, and innovation, but these tapes went further. They revealed experiments with early electronic sounds. They weren't produced for release, and maybe they never would have been, but they showed an artist still chasing new ideas, even late in his career. The attic also held glimpses of his declining health. A confidential report from 1974 stood out, its external notes mentioning heart conditions and lifestyle recommendations. It was nothing Elvis had ever wanted public. That much was obvious, but it added more depth to his private battles. Battles he was already fighting alongside fame's immense pressures. The report gave the attic's narrative a heavy turn, serving as a stark reminder of the toll taken by his personal and professional life. And just when the discoveries seemed complete, there was one last haunting artifact, a reel marked with a single title, Unchained Melody. It was a stripped-down recording, raw and haunting, captured just months before his death. His voice was powerful, but carried the weight of exhaustion, coupled with an undeniable vulnerability. A music historian described it best, saying it felt like he was facing his own death through the song. That tape alone held a level of emotion rarely heard in music, and it was perhaps the most tangible moment in the attic where listeners felt connected to the man behind the myth. Each find built upon the last, weaving a more complete picture of Elvis Presley than the world had ever been allowed to see. A teddy bear from Tupelo, letters never read, recordings never heard. All of it reminded fans of the person Elvis was beyond the sequins and cameras. But as much as it revealed, it also left lingering questions. The attic wasn't just a storage space, it was a mirror to Elvis's life, filled with fragments of his triumphs, struggles, and humanity. Inside, every item told a story. The teddy bear from his childhood, the heartfelt notes from his mother, the recordings capturing his creativity and vulnerability. These weren't symbols of the superstar the world worshiped, but of the person he was behind the fame. Graceland remains a monument to Elvis Presley's legacy, but the attic offered something unexpected, a glimpse at the man himself. It's a reminder that even true legends navigate struggles far away from the spotlight.